In a quiet veterans wing of a rural hospital, one patient never had visitors. Sat alone in a wheelchair, always near the emergency exit. Nurses whispered he was senile, never spoke, just stared out the window. Until the day an armed man stormed the ER, and this old patient calmly rolled into his path, whispered something in his ear, and the man dropped the weapon and cried. Security asked who he was. A nurse replied, "I don't know. But today, I'd follow him into war." Before we begin, tell us where you're watching from. And don't forget to like the video. Willow Ridge Community Hospital was a quiet place. Situated on the edge of a pine valley, it treated mostly sprained ankles, broken wrists, and the slow pain of aging. The third floor, which the staff quietly called the Gray Wing, held long-term patients, those with nowhere else to go but nowhere in a hurry. Room 214 had a sign like the others, J. Harmon. No visitors. No medical records to raise eyebrows. Just an observation. Risk of falling. Hypertension. Previous stroke. The man inside barely moved. The nurses said he used to talk. A few words here, and they're the first year. Then he stopped talking. Now he sat, day and night, in a wheelchair, leaning against the left side of the window. Hands always folded. Eyes sharp but distant. The new staff whispered theories. PTSD. Maybe dementia. Or he just left. But some nurses noticed things. Like the way the chair always faced the fire escape. Or the way he never dozed during code drills. Or the way he tensed, slightly, instinctively, whenever someone in uniform walked by. One day, a young orderly dropped a tray behind him with a thud. Mr. Harmon didn't flinch. He turned. His eyes narrowed, his body still, but focused. The orderly said, "Sorry, sir." Sir. He didn't know why he used the word. It just came out. Mr. Harmon didn't answer. He just nodded slightly. That weekend, a new nurse named Janelle started her shift. She walked into 214 with pills and a warm smile. He said nothing, but when she reached for the tray, she noticed his hand resting on a folded cloth under the blanket. Old, worn, frayed at the edges. She caught a glimpse of 3 letters, U.S. She didn't ask. She just nodded. Later that day, she asked the head nurse, "How long has he been here?" 6 years. Brought in from a federal home that was closed. No records. Just a discharge summary. No family. The nurse shook her head. If he has one, they never showed up. That night, during the test, the fire alarm went off. Most of the patients stirred. Some panicked. Mr. Harmon didn't move. He watched the light flash. Timed the intervals. Then he reached under the covers and pressed the call button once. Nothing urgent. Just an alarm. Janelle noticed. Later, she found a note hidden in his chart. Written in small, clear handwriting. Exit 2A is out of order. Alarm goes off without being pressed. No signature. Just a quiet warning. If you've ever met a person who didn't need to speak to lead, who noticed everything but said nothing, let me know in the comments. Some instincts never retire. After the alarm note, Nurse Janelle started watching room 214 more closely. Mr. Harmon didn't speak. Didn't ask for anything. But small patterns emerged. He always repositioned himself 5 minutes before shift change. He never faced the door directly, but angled, as if watching 2 exits at once. And once, when a confused patient wandered from their room at 3 a.m., Harmon rang his call button before the monitors caught the movement. That got the attention of Randy, the overnight nurse. "You've got a sixth sense, huh?" he joked during rounds. Harmon blinked once, then returned to stillness. Staff began comparing notes. Someone realized Harmon never pressed his call light more than once. Never buzzed for assistance. But every time there was a code blue or an ambulance arrival, his finger twitched, as if tracking tempo. By December, a new nickname floated among the night shift. The Watchman. Janelle didn't call him that. Not aloud. But she left an extra coffee near his tray some mornings. Decaf, per policy, but hot. She never saw him drink it. But by lunch, it was always empty. That Friday, a commotion erupted downstairs in the ER. A man with signs of psychosis, paranoid, ranting, erratic, burst through the ambulance entrance and began shouting about his missing brother. Security moved fast, but the man broke into a run, straight toward the elevator bank. Up, to the 3rd floor. Staff were told to shelter in place. Randy was frozen behind the nurse's station when the elevator pinged. The man stepped out, breathing hard, eyes red, clutching something beneath his coat. No weapon, But the posture said ready. And that's when it happened. Mr. Harmon's door opened. He rolled out of room 214 by himself. First time anyone had seen him move unassisted. No panic, just purpose. He moved in front of the man, said nothing. The man locked eyes with him and stopped. They stared for 10 full seconds. Then Harmon lifted one hand, pointed downward. The man dropped to his knees, wept. By the time security reached them, the man was curled in a fetal position, whispering, "I'm sorry," over and over. They led him away. Everyone asked what Harmon had done, what he'd said. No one knew. Janelle returned to his room to find him back in position. Tray untouched, eyes calm. She whispered, "Who are you?" He didn't reply. But on the blanket rested the same folded cloth, this time turned slightly, enough to show the full embroidery. 173rd Airborne, Combat Jump Team. If someone once held command with silence, not orders, Drop still follows him in the comments. Real authority doesn't raise its voice. The day after the hallway incident, Harmon was quiet as ever. But now, no one treated him like background noise. Nurses greeted him. Orderlies nodded. Even the administrator stopped by room 214 and said, "Thank you." He didn't respond. Didn't need to. People noticed changes. The wheelchair was always clean, spotless, even before janitorial rounds. His blanket, once frayed, was neatly hemmed. And tucked near his hip, under the fold, was a notebook. No one saw him write in it. But every week, new notes appeared. Detailed. Accurate. Floor 3 call buttons delay under 4A panel. Patient in 209 cries at 2:18 a.m. schedule night meds earlier. Nurse L. Favors left side, possible back pain. Rotation advised. Randy found the notebook once, forgotten on the nightstand. He showed Janelle. They read page after page of quiet observations. Not surveillance care. "That's military," Randy whispered. "That's how field leaders write." That evening, Janelle asked gently, "Were you an officer, Mr. Harmon?" He looked at her, not unkindly, then turned back to the window. But the next morning, something changed. His blanket was gone, replaced with a folded olive coat. Small patch visible. "Oh, 3. Captain." Later that week, a man appeared in reception. Gray suit. Eyes alert. Introduced himself only as Miles. Asked for Harmon. Said he was an old contact from Naples. No one questioned it. Miles entered room 214 and closed the door. 30 minutes passed. No sound. Then Miles exited. Eyes wet. Said nothing. At the desk, he left a sealed envelope with Janelle. "Don't open. Just give it to him if he ever forgets who he is." She nodded, hands shaking. That night, Harmon took his usual place by the window. Janelle watched him for several minutes, then asked, "Do you remember everything?" He looked at her, and in a low, quiet voice, the first she'd heard in weeks, he said, "I remember enough. Some people carry battles they never tell you about, but they never stop watching. If someone in your life never needed to speak to remind you they were ready, type he remembered in the comments." Word spread quickly. The man in room 214, the quiet one, the watchman, was once Captain Jack Harmon of the 173rd Airborne Brigade. People Googled. Found fragments, a citation from Operation Hammerspike. A mention in a declassified field report from northern Afghanistan. Nothing flashy, but the kind of records that tell you someone was there when it mattered most. Dr. Marin, a new trauma resident, stood at the nurse's station flipping through a printout. This guy held position for 3 days after the evac window. His whole unit credited him with a 0 casualty extraction. Anna leaned on the counter. And now he sits by the fire escape every night like it's a guard post. They looked toward the third-floor monitors. There he was, still, watching. That evening, a former patient, an older man with a service dog, returned with his daughter. He asked to see Harmon. When Janelle brought him into 214, Harmon looked up once, then nodded slowly. No handshake. No salute. Just recognition. "You were there," the man said. "You walked us out of the valley. I didn't know until I saw your patch." Harmon gestured to the chair beside the window. The two sat in silence. Not uncomfortable. Just known. After the visit, the man told Janelle he saved over 20 of us. Never asked for thanks. Just vanished after extraction. They said he retired in silence. That weekend, another letter arrived. No return address. Inside, a photo of a military unit, taken years ago. Dusty uniforms. Mountains in the background. Captain Harmon stood off-center. Expression calm. Hands on hips. Sunlight behind his shoulder. On the back, To the man who never blinked. Still standing because you stayed. L.T. Brenner. Janelle placed it in a frame and left it on his nightstand. When Harmon saw it, he didn't speak. But he moved the photo beside the window so it faced outward. That night, he whispered to no one in particular. They were good men. Some heroes never wanted medals. They just wanted their people to come home. If someone you know stayed behind so others could move forward, Droppy held the line in the comments. From that week forward, room 214 wasn't just another long-term bed. It became a checkpoint. Nurses began their night shift by passing his door. Orderlies asked if anything felt off. Even Dr. Marin, once skeptical, started referencing Harmon's intuition when assessing patients too quiet or still. And Harmon noticed everything. He buzzed a call light seconds before a seizure monitor spiked in 216. He flagged a visitor badge 2 digits off from the issued sequence. Turned out the man had wandered in from a psychiatric hold downtown. He even pulled Janelle aside and quietly said, "Patient 207, she's hiding something. Tremors are controlled, not natural." Janelle checked. The woman had stopped taking her medication, afraid it was making her feel weak. Harmon spotted it from the way she held her spoon. Every observation he made came without fanfare. Just small alerts. Scribbled notes. Folded messages tucked between chart pages. One nurse joked, "He's not retired. He's on internal assignment." Harmon didn't laugh, but he didn't deny it either. Then came the late-night incident. A code gray, combative patient in the rehab wing. The man had barricaded himself in the therapy room with a steel walker, swinging, threatening staff. Security hesitated. Janelle was helping in triage when she turned and saw the door open. Harmon, alone, in his chair, rolling forward. Everyone froze. He stopped 2 feet from the man, didn't raise his voice, just said, "Easy, soldier. You're not in country anymore." The man's eyes widened. He dropped the walker, collapsed to his knees, muttered something about sand and helicopters. Harmon leaned forward, gently placing a hand on his shoulder. "You made it out. Time to rest." No one moved for 30 seconds. Then nurses stepped in, de-escalated. The patient was stabilized, sedated, brought back gently. Janelle caught Harmon by the vending machines later. "You spoke to him like you'd known him forever." Harmon sipped his coffee. "I've seen that look in mirrors. If someone once taught you how to lead without raising your voice, how to de-escalate with dignity, type he calmed the storm in the comments. Some warriors don't fight with fists anymore. They fight to restore peace." In the weeks that followed, the hospital began adjusting to Harmon, not as a patient, but as part of the system. A second chair appeared beside his window. Staff called it the post. Sometimes Janelle sat there during breaks. Other times, visiting veterans would quietly settle in, say nothing, and just sit beside him for 10, 15 minutes, as if reporting in. One day, Caleb, the new maintenance intern, asked Harmon how he always knew when something was off. Harmon replied, "People breathe differently when they're about to lie, or run, or cry. You learn to listen for silence between sounds." The kid blinked, then started carrying a notebook. Dr. Marin noticed that after talking with Harmon, more staff began checking fire exits, reviewing backup generator protocols, and adjusting for floor-level blind spots during late-night rounds. The man had never given a lecture, but he was teaching nonetheless. Then, during a rare storm, the building shook with a sudden transformer pop. Lights flickered. Emergency panels buzzed. Backup struggled. Harmon rang his call button once. Janelle answered immediately. "Elevator 3, he said. "What?" "Brake fault." The hum changed. She didn't question him. Maintenance checked. Elevator 3 had locked mid-floor, with 2 nurses inside. Had it moved another 6 inches, the motor would have surged. They evacuated the shaft. Avoided a full system failure. No alarm had gone off. Just Harmon's instinct. That night, Janelle brought him an extra blanket and said, "You saved them." Harmon replied, "Not saving. Just doing the job." She shook her head. "You don't work here, you know." He turned toward her. "I steady, don't I?" The next morning, staff found a simple diagram on the nurse's station whiteboard. New evacuation paths. Labeled blind spots. Patient vulnerability zones during blackout. No one signed it, but someone had drawn a small symbol in the corner. An airborne patch. Tiny. Inked in blue. If someone once left behind a system that kept working long after they stepped away, Droppy still covered us in the comments. Legacy isn't about memories, it's about habits that save lives. One cold morning, a shift nurse noticed the envelope on Harmon's nightstand. The one marked, only if he forgets who he is. Still sealed. Still waiting. But it was Harmon who handed it to Janelle. I want you to hold it now, he said softly. Why? In case I don't get to remind myself. She took it with both hands, heart tight in her chest. Later that day, Harmon wasn't in his usual post. His chair sat empty. Staff searched calmly at first, then urgently. Finally, they found him in the chapel, sitting quietly in the back row, eyes closed. Not unconscious, just still. A folded flag rested in his lap. Where it had come from, no one knew. He returned to room 214, but the silence that followed was different. He spoke less, watched more, wrote nothing. Caleb noticed the difference first. Is he okay? He asked. Janelle didn't know what to say, but that night, she entered his room to find him adjusting his chair toward the hallway, not the window. He looked at her, then, without drama, said, It's almost time. For what? For my shift to end. Janelle sat down beside him. You don't have to do anything anymore. Harmon smiled faintly. But I still can. Then he added, Promise me you'll keep watching. Keep listening. I will, she whispered. He nodded once. Then I can rest. The next morning, he was gone. Peaceful. Straight-backed. Eyes closed like a soldier standing at ease. No alarm. No struggle. Just stillness. In his place was the sealed letter. Now with one addition. A final line, scrawled across the back. You already knew who I was. Now remember who you are. Janelle opened it alone. Inside, field notes. A diagram of the hospital's old floor plan. Names of patients. Risks assessed. Emergency protocols handwritten in tidy, tactical detail. And a photo. Janelle, Caleb, Dr. Marin, Anna. All taken candidly, laughing during a fire drill. Written beneath. Good unit. If someone ever passed you more than advice, if they passed you duty, say I'll take the watch in the comments. Because someone has to. Weeks passed. Room 214 was never reassigned. Administrators tried once, but staff pushed back. So they left it. Not empty, just occupied by presence. Janelle taped a photo of the view he always faced. Fire escape, dusk glow, streetlight hum. Caleb placed his old notebook on the tray table. Dr. Marin left a pen beside it, just in case. And every night, a nurse quietly rolled his chair to the window. Still watching, still facing exits. On the wall beside the door, someone framed a simple card. No medals, no names, just words. Shift complete. Eyes on. If someone in your life showed you how to protect others long after their watch ended, say their name in the comments. Or just write shift complete. That's how we honor them. If you like this story, please like and subscribe to the channel. Let YouTube promote stories of kindness.